Why are so many young men walking away from the left? What changed? Well, over the last 5 years, there's been an aggressive push from media, culture, and schools that tell young men that something's wrong with them being a male, that being masculine is a problem. So, after years of being ashamed and silenced and told to sit down, Gen Z men are done. They're walking away from the guilt, the identity confusion, and the silence, and they're walking towards something greater. Welcome back to the Clayton Show. I'm your host, Clayton, and today I'm talking directly to you guys, specifically, who want to understand why young men are turning their backs on a culture that claims to champion equality but continues to push them down. So let's be clear. Gen Z isn't blindly becoming more conservative. This is about reaction and response. Young men are seeing the culture around them and realizing it doesn't respect them, it doesn't understand them, and certainly doesn't want them to lead. We're told that masculinity is a threat and that traditional values are dangerous. That if you even say you want to be a strong, confident man, then you're the problem. So what happens? Guys check out. They stop trusting the platforms that keep telling them and attacking them. They start looking elsewhere for answers, to find people who actually speak on what matters and their frustrations. People that tell them it's okay to be masculine, it's okay to be a male. You don't have to be ashamed of wanting purpose, strength, leadership, and truth. And slowly but surely, the Gen Z men are stepping away from the side that always says sit down and be quiet. So let's talk about what we're really walking away from. For years now, the left has embraced languages and policies that are anti-male. Words like toxic masculinity are thrown around in schools, on social media, everywhere. And men are constantly portrayed as the oppressors, the problem. Masculinity is treated as something that's dangerous and something that has to be deconstructed. But when young men hear that day after day, it's not going to challenge them. It's going to break us down. It creates guilt, confusion, and even fear of speaking up. And now a lot of guys, they've had enough. But here's the irony. The same people that are preaching to you about equality and mental health are not looking at what young men are really going through. No one's going to talk about the rise in depression, addiction, and even suicide of young men, because acknowledging that would admit that their narrative is wrong. So here's the reality. The left didn't just confuse masculinity, they made young men ashamed of it. And now the same young men that are walking away, it's not just because they're hateful, but because they're tired of being hated. But here's what's powerful. These young men aren't leaving the left because they're angry. They're leaving because they want true purpose. They're tired of a culture that only tells them what not to be. They want someone to tell them what they can be. They're hungry for direction, meaning, identity, not confusion. And many are even turning to faith. Because here's the truth. The Bible doesn't shame young men for being men. It calls them to be leaders, protectors, creators, providers. It doesn't tell them to sit down and shut up. It says be strong and be courageous. It says act like men. Men are meant to lead, not in pride, but in humility. Not with control, but with conviction. And in a world that calls them with true hate speech, Gen Z men are waking up and realizing the truth they actually need. One of the biggest lies that we're told in the generation is that silence is safer. That if you just blend in and don't speak up and go along with the crowd, you're going to be okay. And just go along with the crowd, you'll be okay. But that's a trap. When you raise a generation of boys to believe that being a man is hateful, don't be surprised when they go silent or even stop being men. Real strength doesn't come from silence. It comes from standing up. Even when it's unpopular, it comes from rejecting lies, speaking truth, and refusing to be ashamed of what God created you to be. So for far too long, young men have been told to soften up, to be less masculine, and embrace femininity as it's the only way to survive or even be accepted. But that's not who we are, and not even what we're created to be. We're men. We're meant to be masculine, have strength, courage, leadership, protection. These aren't flaws, they're virtues. And if hearing that makes you uncomfortable, good. Because here's the truth. If the truth offends you, that's good. It means it hit you something real. It's cutting through the lies that told you to apologize for your identity. This is not hate. It's ownership. This is truth. Listen up, everybody. You can pick up the Clayton Show merch at claytoncox-fourthwall.com. You can pick up tees just like the one I'm wearing, the Gratitude Movement tee, or shirts like the 2 Years to Wisdom or the classic logo tee. Once again, please go to claytoncox-fourthwall.com to pick up the merch. Thank you so much. Now back to the episode. You're not broken. You're not the problem. For far too long, culture has tried to convince you that simply being a man is something to apologize for. But here's the truth. I'm not a problem, I'm not a man, and I'm waking up. That's a declaration this generation needs to make and say all the time. This is your moment to stand tall, own your identity, and walk in the strength God gave you. No shame, no silence, no backing down. So, to the Gen Z men listening, if you feel like this culture doesn't want you, you're not crazy, and you're not alone. Do not stay stuck in the silence. Don't let the lies shape your future. Step into the purpose that God designed you to be for. Be the kind of man that the world needs, not the kind that tries to have shame and go into submission. This isn't toxic. This is truth. This is strength. And if that makes culture uncomfortable, good. We're not meant to fit in. We're meant to lead. This isn't a political shift. This is a spiritual awakening, and it's happening now. Thank you so much for watching this episode of The Clayton Show. If something spoke out to you, please feel free to comment. Please share the video. Please like it. We'd love to hear your feedback. And if you want to see anything about behind the scenes or upcoming events, please follow me on Instagram at Clayton Cox or X, formerly known as Twitter, at The Clayton Cox. Once again, thank you so much for watching.